Hey love, and welcome back to my channel. It's Ijoma here, and in today's video we are going to learn how to make this beautiful dress with a turtleneck and a long sleeve. Now if you want to add a shoulder part to this dress, you can add a shoulder part to it, but I didn't add a shoulder part to my own. And for the fabric, I used a crepe fabric, a thick crepe fabric. I used 2.5, though I didn't finish the 2.5 yard, and I'm size 8. If you are sewing from size 10 upwards, you may need from 2.5. Now the first thing that we are going to do is to cut out the skirt part. This is a short dress, so it is starting from the half length, right? Now if you fold your fabric from your half length, you get your shoulder to hip, you get your full length, and then you mark a straight line. And after marking the straight line, you take your waist and your hip measurement divided by 4. Now I am done folding, and I'll go ahead and take out my half length. My half length is 17 inches, and from there I mark 27 for my shoulder to hip, and then my full length is 34 plus 2 inches for seam allowance. I want to add 2 inches for seam allowance. Please pardon my line, I didn't know that the chalk was not showing that much, but you go ahead and mark your lines. Now my hip is 42 divided by 4, and I'll add extra 1 inch for ease and another 1 inch for seam allowance, because this particular gown is not too fitted on the body, especially at the hip and waist area. And my waist is 28. I'll divide it by 4, and that will be 7 plus another 1 inch for seam allowance. Then I'll go ahead and connect the line. I'll connect from my waist to hip. Sorry, that place is my waist. Sorry. So from my waist to hip, and then from my hip to my full length, and you will not give it this pencil shape. After doing that, you go ahead and cut out the skirt. Then after cutting it out, you place it on the back one, and you add zipper allowance to it. I don't know if you understand. There will be a zipper on this dress, so the front is on fold. We'll go ahead and fold another fabric, then we'll place the front skirt on it, and then we will cut it out with 2 inches for zipper allowance. Then after cutting it out, the next thing that we are going to cut is the top. Now I am done cutting my skirts. I'm going to cut out the top. So this top that I'm cutting is a basic bodice, just a basic bodice. I'll trim off the rough edge for the shoulder. Now I'll go ahead and cut out this is a basic bodice or basic bustier. You don't need to do too much. Though if you want to add the shoulder dart or a princess dart to it, you can go ahead and do the same. Now I'm trying to cut out the piece of fabric that will be enough for me. Now after cutting that out, I'll go ahead and mark my vertical measurement. From my shoulder to my bust point is 10. From my shoulder to my half length is 17, right? And I will add extra 2 inches for seam allowance. So my bust point is 10. I'll mark 10 inches. This is my bust point. I'll mark 10 inches from my shoulder to my half length is 17. I'll mark 17 inches, and I'll add 2 inches for my allowance. After doing that, I'll also connect my straight lines. Like, connect your straight lines. These lines are really important so that you know where your measurement falls on. Then 2 inches above my bust point is 8, and that is my chest line. Like, my bust point is 10, right? 2 inches above it is 8, and that is my chest line. Now I'll go ahead and cut off the remaining part. Then after doing that, I'll start taking my body measurements. I'll divide my bust by 4, and I'll mark. Then for my neckline, it will be 3 by 3. The neckline will be 3 by 3, so that it will be enough for you. 3 by 3 is okay because I'm making a turtleneck, right? So I marked 3 by 3. After marking that, my shoulder is 16 inches, and 16 divided by 2 is 8, right? I'll mark 8 plus another half inch for seam allowance. Then I'll connect it from my shoulder to my chest line, and after connecting to my chest line, I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant. Then after coming down by 1 inch for your shoulder slant, you go ahead and connect your armhole. Sorry, I didn't know that this chalk wasn't this noticeable, but at least you can see the measurements I'm marking. Then my nipple to nipple is 8 divided by 2, 4. I have marked my darts. I have marked 4. Then divide your bust by 4 plus 1 inch. Your waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that, and another 1 inch for seam allowance. Then you go ahead and connect to your bust. This is a freehand cutting, so I am not marking my darts on my fabric. I'll only indicate where I will pick my darts from. That is, from the center of my fabric, I will come in by 4 inches and I will notch that 4 inches at my half length, so that whenever I am picking my darts, I will know where to pick my dart. So you can see I have notched. This is where I'll pick my dart from. After cutting this back, this front, I will use it to cut out the back. At the back, we are not doing much. We'll just place this front on top, and you add 2 inches for your zipper allowance. You add 2 inches for your zipper allowance. Then the neckline, the depth of the neck will be 1.5. The neck depth is 1.5. Then I'll go ahead and trim. So if you cut off from your half length, you cut out your armhole, your shoulder. Then the neck depth is 1.5, but the neck width remains 3 inches. Remember to open up your zipper allowance, and you can see I came down by 1 inch. I came in by 1 inch at my half length, and that is for my zipper bulge intake. You can see that my zipper allowance is 1 inch smaller at the waistline. So if I open this up, this is what I have. I'll go ahead and pick my darts. I don't know, I'll just pick my darts. If you want to add a bust dart, you can add a bust dart, but I am slim, I don't have busts. That's why I made it just why I added only under bust dart. But if you have a big bust, you can go ahead and pick your bust dart. That is side dart. Now this is my sleeve. The sleeve will be long, like it will be long enough. Then I'll measure out 28 inches for the full length of this sleeve. After marking out the 28 inches, I'll go ahead and cut off the remaining parts. Then I'll start taking my measurements. Your sleeve, if you divide, let's say your round sleeve is 15 inches. If you divide it by 2, it will be 7.5, right? You add extra 1 inch for ease and another 1 inch for seam allowance. So your sleeve should be very free, like not too free, but it should be somehow free on your body so that you can have ease. Now I'll go ahead and cut out this sleeve. And see what I have there. I'll cut out this sleeve. Though I added a little A-line shape at the full length. Now, after cutting this particular one, I will use it to cut out the second one. I am done with the sleeve cutting. The next thing that we are going to cut is the flap that will add to our skirt area. So I have folded that fabric into 2, and I'll go ahead and cut out my flap. So this flap, the width, it depends on how wide you want it to be. So I have 2 pieces there, and they will be on fold. So I'll cut it open. If I fold and measure, I have like 4 by 8, like 4 inches for the height and 8 inches for the breadth or for the width. So you can see 4 plus 1 inch, that is 5. Then the other one is 8 plus 1 inch, that is 9. But you know, we are going to use half inch to close it on the both sides. So we are starting our sewing process now. I'll go ahead and pick my darts, and then this is my skirt, right? This is the front part of my skirt. I'll go ahead and place my flap on it. I'll go ahead and place my flap on it and pin down. This is really important because if you don't pin down, you may find it confusing while sewing. So you can even go ahead and mark. You can see the way I ironed the center front of this skirt so that it will have a line. That line will help you know the distance. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. That line there will guide you. So from the center line, you can come in by 3 inches on this side and 3 inches on the underside. Then you go ahead and slant the flap. And you know this flap is not too straight, it is slanted. So you go ahead and slant it before you pin, so that when after sewing, both of them will be on the same line. Then after doing this, I'll go ahead and take my body measurements. Let's say after stitching on this, you place your back on it and then you take your body measurement. Then when you are sewing this flap, please avoid anything that will make you run a stitch on your crepe. This clothes that I'm sewing, I did not run any stitch on top of my clothes. So what I'm going to do is that after pinning this flap, I'll iron it. Then when I am sewing, I will raise it up and stitch on the seam allowance only, underneath it, like on the seam allowance. I don't want to run any stitch on top. So now I am done fixing. I can see that I did not run any stitch. I opened it up and I ran a stitch at the seam allowance area and then covered it. You don't need to run a stitch on top. I hope you understand what I mean. Then you can also go ahead and reduce your zipper allowance so that your zipper allowance will not be too big. Now fold the two of them over, and the next thing that you're going to do right now is to place your back on it. Then you will take your body measurements. Now this is my sleeve. I used my hemming gum to roll up my sleeve, that to hem my sleeve, so that I will avoid anything that will make me run a stitch on it. I told you guys that I'm avoiding anything that will make me run a stitch on this fabric. Now I am done adding that to the back and to the front, and I've ironed my dart. I'll go ahead and close my allowance. Go ahead and close your allowance. Then I'm done shaping my skirt, and you can see what I have right there. It is really beautiful. So now this is my sleeve. I'm done shaping my sleeve also. Now over to my top. I'll place the back on top. You can see I've closed my zipper allowance. I like closing my zipper allowance before shaping any dress that I am making. After closing the zipper allowance, I'll take my bust measurements and my waist measurements. Bust measurement and waist measurement. Then after doing this, you will shape the sides and you also close the shoulder. After doing that, the next thing that you're going to do is to iron. I am done ironing. I'll take my body measurements, then I'll trim my half length. Make sure you trim your half length so that it will be straight. Then after trimming my half length, I'll trim my armhole. Then there's this thing that I normally do when I'm making straight cut clothes, especially corporate wears. Like after trimming the armhole, I will turn the back of my zipper allowance. I'm trimming the armhole. After trimming the armhole, I will turn the back of my zipper allowance and I will reduce my center back by 1 inch. This is my bodice, right? I'll turn it to the back and I'll fold the center back. From the center back, I will come up by 1 inch and then I'll trim it down to the half length. I like reducing it at the center back. You can see the zipper allowance is 1 inch shorter at the half length of the back. Then after doing that, I'll also repeat the same thing on the center back of the skirt. After folding it into two, I'll go ahead and reduce it by 1 inch. So that to give you this triangular shape. You can see right there. So after closing this, it will help you get rid of that fold at the center back. Then you go ahead and join the top to the down and you fix your sleeve. Then after fixing my sleeve, the next thing I'm going to do is to open up the zipper allowance of this top. Our dress is taking shape already. I'll go ahead and open up the zipper allowance of this top. So if you open up the zipper allowance, you go ahead and measure the round neck. So I measured the round neck and I got 18.5, or let's just call it 19 inches. Now this is the paper that we use. I'll fold it into a triangular manner. This is how I normally cut my turtleneck so that they will fit. From the tip of this triangle, I'll start coming down by 12 inches. You either come down by 12 or by 13. It will give you what you want. Come down by 12 inches and you mark round 12 inches. You go round, then you connect the lines. Then after cutting it off from this 12 inches line, from this particular line you marked right here, you come up by 3 inches, because we want to make the width of that turtleneck big, so the width should be 3 inches. After doing this, I'll connect the lines and cut out. Then after cutting this on paper, you will cut it out on your fabric. So if I open this up, or if I measure it round, I will still get at the down part of the turtleneck. If I measure it round, I got the 18.5 or the 19. I got 19. And see, I'm measuring it on fold. I got 19 on fold. Like I got 9 point something. Now I'll go ahead and cut it on my fabric. I'll fold my fabric into 2 and then I'll place my paper on top. If I place it on top, I'll start adding my seam allowance round it. I'll add half an inch seam allowance around it. After adding this seam allowance, I'll also add my soft interface, or soft gum like we call it. You add your light interface or your light gum. After adding that light gum, automatically this turtleneck will be 2 pieces, right? So what you are going to do is that you will run a stitch at the top after adding the light interface. So this is the light interface that I want to add to it, or soft gum like we call it. So after adding the soft gum, I'll come back and show you guys. So this is what it looks like after adding soft gum. So I'll place them so that the right side will be facing the right side, and then I turned the top. I am done turning the top of that turtleneck right now, and I'll run a stitch at the under. So I don't want anything that will make me run a stitch on top of this crepe. This is what my turtleneck looks like. So I'll just go ahead and sew it round. I don't know if you understand. I'll just go ahead and sew it round. So after adding it, this is what my gown looks like. This is the back, and I'll go ahead and add my zipper allowance, and my dress or my gown is set. I love the color of this dress. It's so mature. I just love it so much. Now this is my zipper. I'll fix my zipper, and at the end of the day, this is what I have. So thank you all so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe. I am Sewis Ijoma, and registration for our February online classes is ongoing. Just drop a comment in the comment section and I will direct you on how to register. Bye.